Hello, amazing souls. Welcome to your weekly energy update. And before we jump into the update, I did want to mention that as part of my YouTube subscriber marathon last Friday, I did put out a video on how you can enter a drawing to win one of the 30-minute recorded personal readings. So if you're interested in that giveaway, I will put the link down in the description box below. And at the end of this video, it'll be in the playlist as well. So the more comments I get on that video, the more I will offer of those individual recorded personal readings. So if they interest you, be sure to check that out. So for the energy update for this week, wow, we are entering the pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde today on August 21st. And I know, don't freak out. Mercury retrograde can bring some wonderful things, which we will talk about briefly here as well. But all the planets are in retrograde or pre-shadow except for Venus and Mars now. And Mars will actually next week on September 4th also go into pre-shadow. So we'll be only having the planet Venus not in retrograde. What does that mean? Well, retrograde, they all kind of turn that energy more where we're focusing on inward things rather than so many outward things. So you might have been having this for a little bit because all the planets started to go into pre-shadows and retrogrades to, point us inward. So you've probably been feeling it for a while anyway. So at least you know, like, oh, that's why I'm so focused on my inner growth. Well, the Mercury retrograde, of course, like I said, it's going into the pre-shadow, and it's starting off in the sign of Virgo. Now, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so it's very much at home there, but it deals with health. It deals with listening to your body, also kind of like your work routine, and also it has to do with pets, too. So as you go into and start this pre-shadow, some of those subjects might come up about reflecting on those. Then on August 27th, Mercury moves into Libra. And of course, Libra is more of that building, healing, relationships types of energy, balancing things, creating win-wins. So that will kind of have a shift in what you're reflecting on. And then we will hit the retrograde itself on September 10th. Now, retrograde means planets actually don't go backwards, of course. So like Mercury is the closest, let's pretend this is the sun. Mercury is closest to the sun. So the Earth is out here. So Mercury's orbits faster, so it's going to go around faster. And so at one point, it looks like it's behind us, but it's actually lapping us. So that does take it into different energies, and that's why that reflection, comes into play with that as well. So even it goes into the retrograde on September 10th, in the sign of Libra, it eventually kind of backs back up and goes back into Virgo on September 24th. And it'll stay in Virgo until it goes direct, which means it starts moving forward again. And it'll be in that post-shadow period until like October 17th. But October 11th, it does move back into Libra, so you can kind of see how you're going to bounce back and forth between that Virgo energy, that Libra energy, the Virgo energy, and back into Libra energy. So, the pre-shadow, we start to feel that emphasis of the retrograde. And then when the retrograde hits on September 10th, we're full-blown in super reflective mode. And then the post-shadow happens when we go direct on October 2nd through October 17th. The post-shadow is not as intense as the pre-shadow and the retrograde. It's more reflecting on what you learned during that reflection period. So little quick update on how that Mercury retrograde works. And of course, Mercury is all about communication, social connection. It actually is also like siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins. So that type of relatives, but not like your children or parents, more everyone outside of that. So that might come into play too during this period with those subjects that you'll be looking at. Now, you might have heard, people get scared around the Mercury retrograde and go, oh my gosh, here we go. But there's positive things you can do. Look at it like tides, right? If you're trying to launch a boat, when the tide's coming in, you're going to struggle and it's going to be tough, and the boat probably will capsize, and you're going to invest a lot of energy but not get very far with it. Well, that's the time that you would mend your nets and do stuff, but not try to launch things and put things out there, right? Because when the tide is going out, that's when, the planet's direct. That's when you launch things. Then things go very smoothly and very easily. So during a retrograde, you can take total, use of that energy and edit things, like do the redo things, breathe life into old ideas, clean things out, declutter, deal with the clutter that you have around you. Because during this period also, the energy can bring up old patterns or old challenges for you to review during this period. And it's all this preparation for you to then launch into a new area of your life with this new information that you gleaned during that period. So it can be a very, very positive use of that energy. And, we all need some downtime to rest and rejuvenate and just reflect on things. And that's what this period brings. So we're also going to jump in to each individual zodiac sign and just see what the universe and spirit would like you to know on what you can do with this Mercury retrograde energy from today, August 21st, through October 17th, which will be the end of that post-shadow period. So we'll jump into your reading right now for your sign. All right, Taurians, this is your weekly energy update, and we will start off here by pulling a card from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. And any of the cards I use in a reading, I do list in the description box below. So we'll give these a good shuffle and see what advice the Creator and Spirit have for you and how you can use this Mercury retrograde energy for its highest. All right, so for all our Taurians, what would you like them to know, please? All right, this is the one right there. And you've got mending. So perfect here. I believe I mentioned in the introduction about this is the perfect time to mend your nets, to mend things as we wait for the tide to change from the retrograde to the other direction. So this is definitely in alignment with all that retrograde energy. So let's take a look here and see what else they would like to say here. Oops, sorry. There we go. So this is about forgiveness, about making amends and healing after arguments. Each time we are hurt and allow the hurt to pass through us without understanding and integration, we accumulate an unwanted burden. This keeps us chained to the very things we need to heal, the pain, the memories, the echoes of resentments, and the arguments that we rehearse over and over. Now is the time for mending rifts, healing wounds, and letting go of the old hurts in order to reclaim your power. Now is the time to forgive, to release, to make peace, and to make amends to others. Set yourself free. Yeah, there was I forget which pastor I heard, I think it was Pastor Hagee when I used to live down in San Antonio, Texas. He was pretty funny at times, and he said there was this thing about don't nurse it, don't rehearse it, but disperse it so God can reverse it. And I was like, wow, I really love that. Well, obviously, I still remember it, and that was like probably 30 years ago or more. And so I love that, because that is about not nursing and rehearsing the wounds, but dispersing it so that it can be reversed, right? Letting it go. I do want to read the relationship message for this because we do have the Libra energy that's coming in with the Mercury retrograde, which has to do with relationships. So it says you've come to a place where forgiveness is necessary if you are to move forward. Separate or together, you and the other person are still experiencing the effects of a hurt that is impacting everything you do, even if you're not aware of it. The energy needs to clear. What must you do to bridge this gap? Closing your heart is not the answer. You have the power to heal this wound. So ask yourself, what would love do? Capital Love do. Only good will come of forgiveness and an honest redress. So, yeah, definitely this is about during these 2 months, it is definitely a time for you to look back over relationships. The energy is all there for you to mend past relationships, to understand why it happened, what you're doing with it. And we'll get more information here. They're nudging me along going, yep, just get to the cards. We'll tell you. So let's get to it. And we're going to look in next into these Ancestral Path Tarot and just see what else they want you to know about this mending, this forgiveness, this healing of wounds. All right. So for our Taurians, who are ruled by Venus, which is, of course, the goddess of love. So you definitely know all about this. So you have the Prince of Sacred Circles. This would be the Knight of Pentacles in the Standard Tarot. Yeah, it's the Prince. So all the knights are about movement, but the Knight of Pentacles is slow moving because one, it's an earth element, which you are an earth element. And so it's grounding. The other 3 suits are all about the inner, the mind, the emotions, and your energy. This is the only one that's about the outside world. So this does tell you that the changes that you make, the mending that happens, doesn't happen from the outside in. It happens from the inside out. So be patient with what you're seeing in the outside world because you're changing on the inside. They're changing on the inside, but it takes time for you to see the results on the outside. So be patient with the process as you're going through this. We're also going to pull from the Dreamers deck here. Let's see what else they want all you Taurians to know about this mending of relationships here, a mending of things in your life. Of course, this is a general reading, so it can be different for each one of you. What area of life it is in regards, or whether it's relationships, work, education. Okay, you actually get 2. So this is your first one. And then I'll read it. I'll show you first. And that says, I know that I will sometimes feel heavy and disappointed. I'm allowed to have bad days. So yeah, you definitely nothing wrong with the emotions that you have felt. But I love this card because it's saying you're at a point now that you've experienced what you've experienced. And it's now, if you're going to move forward in this situation, whether it's a job, a relationship, education, your body, whatever it might be, whatever, in order to move beyond that, it's time for a change. And this is saying that it's okay. Everyone has bad days where you're feeling emotions that are rooted in fear, but now it's time for that transformation, for the mending of this. And then here's your second card here, and I'll read that as well after you see it. And that says, I know that a simple shift in perspective can change your reality. Yeah, so definitely you can move from having a bad day or a bad time, a bad memory, and a change of perspective allows you to see it in a different way. So you definitely... It reminds me of the 6 of Cups energy in the tarot, which is about the, what do people usually call it? It's It's about looking back at your old emotions, looking back about your old things that had happened in your life. And so it's kind of like reflecting on your past. And when we do that, we're able to go and look back at it with new wisdom. We can transform things. Like one of the big pieces of wisdom that you can glean is that every moment is either of unconditional love or the fear of losing conditional love. And when it is a experience of fear, the little child inside of us just goes crazy and it sounds the alarm. Because when it feels unsafe or out of control, then it just alerts and goes into fight or flight and says, danger, 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 Will Rogers. Wait, not Will Rogers. Is it Will Rogers? No. I forget. It's from Lost in Space, but I always say Will Rogers, which I think is the old cowboy, but not the character in the. You can comment down below and go, this is what it was, because I know you're probably yelling it at the screen right now. But regardless, that little child inside of us screams and goes into fear. And when it goes into that, it goes out of its mind, literally. Our bodies push the blood out of our brain to go to our arms and our legs to run or fight like heck to feel safe again. And that goes into more of an animalistic defensive mechanism where it doesn't do things that are loving and emotionally mature. It does things very selfishly and animalistically to try to feel safe and in control again. So when we realize that when we're in fear or other people are in fear, we act out of our minds, we can start to look at old memories differently and going, oh, that was about fear. They weren't even themselves. They were realistically, turning into an animal in their brain. And you're like, oh my gosh, it kind of maybe even freaked you out that they acted in a way that they never have before. They almost acted insane out of their minds, or we might be surprised by what we did too, right? But when you go back and look at a situation like that, then you can heal from that. You can mend it because you realize that their actions were just survival instincts, as were yours. You start to look at yourself differently, the situation differently, and them differently, and you can transform that memory into something else, and it changes your behavior going forward. All right, next, we're going to look in here at these Chinese tarot and just see what else they'd like you to know about this mending process. Nostalgia is the word I was looking for earlier. Okay, they do want to those two. The Six of Cups is known as the Nostalgia card. Will Robinson, too. Not Will Rogers, Will Robinson. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. See, eventually, Spirit tells me stuff. I'm not very smart on my own, evidently. All right, so they're going to do these in twos and twos and twos. So these first two here, you have the Six of Swords. So not the Six of Cups, but the Six of Swords in this case, which is about movement in your thoughts and your beliefs. They usually have someone like in a canoe moving from one place to another. So there is movement. You had this movement with this knight or this prince. And so you have movement in thought that is happening, moving from old ways of thinking to new ways of thinking. Yeah. And you have the Knight of Pentacles again. So this would be the Knight of Pentacles in a standard tarot. So you do have this movement, and they're saying that just be patient because you're changing from the inside out. And so even though your thoughts are changing, the outside world will take time to catch up. Even though, they say that we don't change from the outside in, we change from the inside out. And we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. So as you start to change on the inside, then you start to see the world differently as well. And then you have the Two of Cups. So these are the emotional choices. The Two of Cups can represent romance and can represent relationship between two hearts. So definitely that is represented in your reading. But the Two of Cups also is like the Lover's card, which is about emotional choices. Knowing that every second, like we talked about, is a choice between unconditional love and the fear of losing conditional love. So you are gleaning and understanding during this retrograde, really grasping and seeing that these two choices are being made. You're seeing it within yourself, but you're also starting to see it in the outside world. Yeah. Because here's the Ten of Wands. Ten of Wands is endings and new beginnings. Wands are about your energy, your drive, your passions. And so this is that you are done investing the energy into the world like you were before. All that energy that you were using to maintain those old emotions, those old feelings, those old perspectives, just was exhausting you, and you are ready. The 10 is ending, and then when you add the 1 plus the 0 together, you get the 1, which is the new beginning. So this is that you are ready, so ready to make that movement in that energy into a completely different way than you have before. So love it. And then you have the Four of Cups. So cups, again, are your emotions, and the 4 is about stability. You are bringing in this stable energy around your emotions, like a table pictured there. A 4 is like this table with 4 huge legs on it. It's a very solid, sturdy foundation. So you are finding, through this experience with this mending, you are finding peace and stability in your emotions through this. You're not being fluctuated and thrown all over the place. Usually you would see like a picture of someone, there's like 3 cups, and then there's this other cup that's being offered. The 3 of Cups represent looking outside of ourselves for our emotional fulfillment and not finding it. The cups can be empty or spilt, and it's just like not fulfilling, because people change or pass away, so relationships don't feel satisfying, whether it's a situation like a job or education or social status. Those things, if we get them, don't fulfill us very long, if they fulfill us at all. And of course, our bodies and our possessions and bank accounts, we constantly want more. We're never completely satisfied. And so we become bored with trying to fulfill ourselves in those external cups until that Ace of Cups comes along, which that Ace of Cups is the chalice. It's the Holy Grail. It's one of those choices, right? Choosing the essence of unconditional love. It is the love from above, the unconditional love that we get from the mother and father of all things, the creator, source, whatever you believe your higher power is. And so you find that sustenance, you drink of that sweet, sweet nectar, and you feel complete finally. You feel whole. You feel that. And that is what is healing here. That is what is helping you transform and understand that you can look for love in all the wrong places in the outside world and feel that, but you eventually are disappointed enough that you turn inward to find the love that you've been searching for all along. And then, ta-da! Sun, one of the most victorious, glorious cards in the entire deck, and it represents victory. You find the completion, you find the wholeness, you find all of that. Also, the sun, it represents like the Leo energy, which is about children and your inner child, connecting back to that. And again, with that mending, you're going to find that when you dive deep enough, that the original pains that you felt were actually in your earlier childhood, like 7 and under, when your emotional personality, your emotional being was being created, and that everything else you experienced after that was just an echo, reflecting back the pain that you felt, the abandonment that you felt, the betrayal that you felt, the, just all that pain and sorrow that you felt when you were younger has just been echoing until you paid attention to your little child and getting to the root of these things. So definitely you, throughout these next around 2 months during this retrograde, it is about healing of so much of your relationships to others, but even more so your relationship to yourself. So I love this coming through for you, Taurians. Now, if you are wanting to be part of that drawing that I mentioned for a 30-minute recorded personal reading, I will put the link to the video in the description box below, and also it'll pop up here in a playlist in just a moment. It'll take you over to the video, the YouTube video announcing the drawing, and all you need to do is comment on that to be entered in the drawing, and it'll talk about how you do that in the video. But the more comments there are, the more of those readings I will actually pull. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check that out. Also, if you are looking for more messages of love from above, in addition to these weekly energy updates, I also put out monthly readings for each individual zodiac sign and a few other types of videos. So if you don't want to miss out on any of those and be notified immediately when they become available, if you give this video a little thumbs up, click the like button. Also click the subscribe button, and that'll give you access to the notification bell. And when you go in there, if you select the all option, then you will be notified of any new videos that come out on this channel. Also, doing those things helps spread the love, and it helps my channel grow in significant ways, because when you like a video or you share a video, comment on a video, and especially subscribing to the channel, doing those things makes the YouTube algorithm so giddy happy it does want to share the videos of this channel with other people as well. So if you feel inspired to do any of those things, I am very, very grateful. Also, these are general readings, and as I mentioned, I do offer personal readings. All that information is listed in the description box below, so if you're interested in getting more information, more specific information for you or answers for your life, then you can check that out. Also, I have introducing a pricing scale. Instead of having just one price for my personal readings, I'm going to offer a variety of prices, because I know that this day and age we all have different incomes and they have different challenges. So I wanted to be able to offer some flexibility so you can choose a personal reading at a price level that is more capable, or you have the ability to do that. So again, all that is listed in the description box below. All right, Taurians, as you go through this wonderful mending period, please know every second of every day of your life that you are unconditionally loved by the Creator of all things. And of course, I love you too. Have an amazing retrograde period. We'll be talking soon. And in the meantime, you hang in there and you take care.